In this video, we will create a radio from modeling to unwrapping and texturing. This video is a part of our full course, which you will find at artstudio313.net. To make the most of your experience and stay up to date with our latest videos, please like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification icon to receive instant updates whenever we release new videos. If you have any questions, suggestion, or requests for specific topics, feel free to leave a comment in our videos or reach out to us with email. Without any further ado, let's jump directly into the videos. In this video, I'm going to model the radio, which I have its reference pictures here already. There is one located on the table in our main image reference. However, I'm going to choose another one. We can get ideas from other image references. It can boost our creativity in modeling. The references are in the second monitor. Now let's start modeling. Actually, I've already designed a radio. You can observe the sample in here. This is not too complex to make. There are some loop cuts added. Let me delete it and rebuild it from scratch. Add a cube to the screen. From the top orthographic view, scale it in y-axis slightly. It should be enough. Press 2 in order to make a selection of the edges. Switch to the front angle of view. You're able to spot the edges selection. Bevel it by pressing Ctrl B. You can kind of curve it by scrolling up and down. Increment the segment numbers. Play around with the width. Change to solid mode. Press 3 for switching to the face mode. Press I to insert face. Keep in mind the key shortcut for the face insertion. Hold down S to scale it afterward. Repeat the same process by following my instructions step by step. For the last inserted face, try pushing it in the cube. It should look something like this. Currently, I'm making some adjustment. You cannot make a selection of these particular vertices with the help of the Select Box tool. In this case, you should switch to Select Circle tool. The hotkey for that is W. Actually, we do not need the top, so deselect it by holding down Ctrl. Drag this up slightly. Switch back to Select Box while in face mode. Hold down Alt. Select this specific face, then extrude it by pressing E. Add another cube. Scale it down, then enlarge it by the x-axis in wireframe mode. Add a loop cut in this particular area. Bevel it by pressing Ctrl B. One segment should be enough. Press 3 to change the face mode. It is located inside. We need to drag it out since it is not visible in the previous position. Extrude in the selected face. Look from the right orthographic, make a selection of the right part and adjust them in Z-axis. Drag it down slightly. Duplicate it by pressing Shift D. Press Tab next. Hold down G, X, and 2. When you enter 2, it will move 2 meters. When you enter 2, it will move 2 meters in X-axis. Undo it. Press GX 1.5. You can choose between these radius to continue work on, whichever is more stylized and convenient in your opinion. Both of them are good enough. I just wanted to indicate the ability of making a new version of your object in a short period. I want to continue working on the wider version. Follow my steps and make an adjustment to this bar. Look from the side. Select all these vertices located here. Drag them up a bit. I want to make this gap in between more visible, because later on I will be adding a dark material in here. In the next part, let's start designing these shapes with the support of cylinder. In edit mode, press Shift S to place that 3D cursor right in the center. Hold down Shift A in order to add a cylinder. Align it with the view. Adjust the radius. Drag it to this specific area. I feel like a radius is too long, so reduce it. Drag this object up as well. If you hold on Shift Y, then you will block further scaling in Y-axis. So press S first, then repeat. As you are able to see, we are scaling in Z-axis and X-axis but not in Y-axis. For example, if you press S plus Shift Z, then you will resize it in X and Y-axis, but you will block out the Z-axis. Pull it out a bit. Select the back face. Extrude it out. By holding down Alt, choose Extrude Face along Normal's option. Add a bevel modifier, but keep the amount really low. You can also set it to 2 or 1. Press Shift D, then G and X. Select this face and place the 3D cursor on this spot. This time add a plane. Align it with the view. Scale it up until it kind of covers this wall area in between. Insert face. Press Ctrl I in order to invert the selection. Extrude this part out. Drag the plane slightly out as well, as you are going to add some separate texture to this part. Utilize another cube and expand it along the x-axis. Make adjustments similar to what I'm doing. Add an array modifier. Set Z to 3. We would like to place the rest on the top of each other. That is why we altered Z only. The count or gaps length measurements are in our control. Press Shift to duplicate it. Rotate it in Y-axis for 90 degrees. Scale it down in Z-axis. You can hold down Shift while rescaling it. Therefore, it alters much more smoothly. Drag it out a bit so they will not intersect. I feel like we need to add a frame around these as well. I'm going to get a frame from this face available in here. Press Shift D to duplicate it. Press P next, then click on Selection. We have separated it from the rest successfully. Pull it out. Press I in order to insert a face. Let's add a loop cut on this particular area as well. We can drag them in Y-axis. However, let's connect these two together. Pressing J will connect these vertices with each other. Extrude this area. Delete the middle face. Hold down G plus Y to push them back. Press S, Shift and Z. Move these objects to the back of the frame. Consider rotating them to get a better look. Press R to rotate. By holding down Shift, you're able to rescale the gaps in Array Modifier. Add these to radio collection. Press numpad slash. A radio is huge compared to the rest. Place it on the surface of the table. Double check the measurement of the radio by looking to the image reference. Put it on the back of the table from the top angle of view. We can also consider adding a bevel to make the design look smoother. Since all of them have modifiers, and some of them have the bevel, hold down Alt and click on the real-time icon. By doing that, we have turned off all the bevel modifiers within each item. By clicking on the monitor-like icon, we are able to set it visible or invisible. Keep it off in the meantime. Repeat the same for the array. Unwrap the outer part. The process is similar to cylinder. The back face and the one inside also on the opposite. Add marquee. Connect them from one of the corners. Then right-click and mark it. Press U to unwrap. The map is almost impeccable. There are no issues. This object is next. Even though I feel like this one doesn't need unwrapping. Repeat the same process. Hide the parts that are done by H key. Select this specific area. As in the past, mark from this area, then unwrap it. Redo the same. Make sure the back faces are removed already. In wireframe mode and edge mode, select all the 4 areas. Right-click, mark and unwrap them. Turn it off as well. Let's delete the side faces first. Since they are in the radio, they will not be seen. Their existence will increase the complexity of the process. Press Tab and select them. Remove the back faces too. This is the final product after face removal. Unwrap it. Hide it. We have used an array modifier for the last part. This is the initial shape as I've explained, which is the cube. However, this is the rectangular version. Make a selection of the top and the bottom. Change your view angle. Hold down Ctrl. Deselect one edge. Better if it is located on the back. Press Alt-Shift. Connect them together afterwards. Mark and unwrap it. I feel like we need to apply the scales. Well, it is correct. I was wondering why I got an uneven shape like that. Repeat the process. You see why applying the scale can come in handy in some situations. Turn on the arrays. Press Alt-H to unhide. Select the radio only. Unwrap it with the help of the U key. Well, let's apply scale all the parts of the radio first. Press A in order to select, then press U and unwrap it. Play around with the margin. Therefore, you get a better map. This is what we have modeled so far. Let's texture it. Start with the outer parts initially. Assign the some wood material we created previously. There are some stretched areas. From General, switch to UV Editor. It is caused by this island not being straight. We need to solve this issue. There is a free plugin available which I will place it in a folder for you. If I press M, then there is a tab called for UV Square. Move around with the help of middle mouse until you reach to this option. Click on UV Select Mode. When you select one of the islands, its wall gets selected. Install this specific add-on, which I will place it in Blender project file. The installation procedure is pretty simple. Open the Edit tab. Go to Preferences. In Add-on, click on the Installation button. Then select the one I gave you. After insertion, it will appear on the list. For example, if I look it up here, it will show up. Enable it and save the changes. Click on the To Grid by Shape option. An error appears on the screen. You shouldn't be concerned about it. Click on the wave faces. It has solved the majority of the issues so far. Pick the average island scale from the UV menu, and then Pack Island. Rotate the texture for 90 degrees. If I press Shift A, then you will be able to observe that we have used a single material. Open up the material properties. To be able to achieve this, make sure you are already in the edit mode. Set it on the second slot, because I'm going to set a new one to the inner part. Click on the newly added slot. I guess we previously added a new material called black. Assign it here. Duplicate it. Rename the duplication to black_02. I would like to make some adjustment to it. Decrease roughness and increase the specular properties. We can change them later. Press Alt-H to get everything else back on the screen. I even hide the background to focus on these objects only. Select one of them. Since I'm going to link the material, hold down Shift while making a selection. In Viewport, hover the mouse over it and press Ctrl L to link the material. It is immediately assigned right after the application. Remove the void by clicking on the minus button. Make a selection of the wall radius. Make sure you select the black material at least. Press Ctrl L to link them. Simple enough. Open up the Render tab. We are currently using UV Render Engine. Enable the AI to get a better result. Because of previously added mark seam, the cut is visible. Let's move or scale it until it disappears. The texture is in a square. If we get them close enough to each other, then the mark will go away. Press Ctrl S once a while to save your entire project. All the modifiers are disabled at the moment. You can select them and click on the Display Modifier button while holding Alt to switch to their previous look. Play around with their segments to give them a smoother surface. It also helps to improve the entire model. I would like to add a new material to the empty part. Select on it, press Tab, make sure you're already in face mode. Click on the New button. I'm going to name it Radio Wave personally. You can give it whatever name you prefer or you desire. I have a texture ready, which I'm going to assign it here. Link the color to BC, which stands for base color. After the connection, it displays this. Image, which is slightly large. Press U and choose Project from View. This is another type of UV unwrapping. Choose the new texture as the background. You can either find it from the list or copy and paste its name. And check the Display Straight checkbox for now. Scale it. Zoom in. Close the X-ray area with N key. You're able to observe what exactly you are doing. Make the same adjustment accordingly. We need to switch to vertex. Scale these two vertices down slightly. And its resolution is too low. I'm going to do some stuff to avoid it from happening. Set the transmission up to 5 or 6. Decrease its roughness. The less it is, the shinier it becomes. Play around with the specular. Reflect the HDRI picture on the glass. It is currently reflecting the HDRI. If I set it to 0, then it will be hardly visible. You can choose to work further on the radio. Join this to view the shader editor more. Click on Wood. This is where we have all the layers. If we want the bottom part to be darker and having the top areas lighter, in Blender all you need to do is to remember some of the nodes which will come in handy. Press Shift A to start searching for gradient texture. After that, we can press Ctrl T. Since we have the Node Wrangler add-on, it enables the texture coordinate in mapping. If I press Ctrl Shift and left click, we get a preview of these 3 nodes in here. Rotate it. The texture coordinate will decide the dark and light areas based on the axis. Click on the option, check the origins checkbox. From the front view, there are X, Y, and Z axes. I rotate it from the mapping in Y axis. If I set it to 90 degrees, the darker areas will move with the help of a color ramp. Turn off the origins. Control these areas with the help of a color ramp. Gain more access to it by pressing Ctrl-Shift left click. Set it to ease. Move the sliders accordingly. Press Ctrl-Shift and T to get it linked to color instead of alpha. The more these sliders are close together, the line between them is sharper. Put more distance in it between them. I'm trying to make the bottom part darker and in the opposite have lighter area on the top. If I press Ctrl-Shift and T on these, it will show the first texture. Let's mix them together in base color. Hold down Ctrl and Shift and right click from the ramp color to multiply. It will mix them automatically. Change it to multiply instead of mix. Play around with the factor. Change the slots. A beautiful gradient appears on the radio. We can control with the help of factor. I will set it to 8. If you would like to modify the transition, then try play around with the ramp color. We have made an interesting wood texture so far. This is the radio texturing which ends in here. Join us for the next video.